Okay, so good morning everyone. We are recording now, and let's do a quick recap of what we did last week, or at least in the last lecture. Um, so, in particular, let me make sure my phone's on silent. Yeah. In particular, we proved this result that says that a graph is three connected if and only if you can build it starting from K4 by adding edges or by expanding at vertices of degree 4 or more. Right? So at each step, you are allowed two possibilities, adding an edge or expanding a vertex of degree 4 or more. And you can build any three connected graph in this manner. And conversely, you can start from any three connected graph and you can keep removing edges or contracting edges. There is always an edge that you can remove or contract and preserve three connectedness until you get to five vertices, right? Until you get to four vertices, at which point your graph is K4 with multiple edges, and then you can reduce to K4 by removing the multiple edges. Right. Okay, good. All right. The in fact, we proved something slightly stronger. We proved that you can always contract an edge and keep the graph three connected until you get to four vertices. Right. So that is a result of Carsten Thomason that we will be using later in the planarity module. Okay. But we will also be using it today to prove a stronger result. Um, okay, so this is saying that you can always contract an edge and maintain three connectivity. What is the downside? The downside is that you could have a simple graph, but when you contract an edge, you don't have a simple graph anymore. You get multiple edges. And these multiple edges or parallel edges can create problems when you are trying to prove other theorems. It can lead to more case analysis. Um, and also you may just not care for graphs with multiple edges. So then the question arises, can we somehow restrict ourselves to simple graphs and not deal with multiple edges at all? Okay. And in fact, writing assignment 1, you will be seeing the utility of such a theorem. So I will let you figure out more about it then. Okay. So today's goal is to get a similar result for simple three connected graphs. So let's go back to this one, right? So look at this corollary, take a quick look, and I'm going to show you a very similar corollary, but not the same, or a very similar theorem, but not the same. So let's switch to that one now. Okay, so what are the differences between these two? Here we are talking about simple three connected graphs, and everything else is the same actually. The problem is if you want to restrict yourself to simple graphs, you cannot start from K4 anymore. In fact, it's very clear that you can't start from K4 because you cannot add any edge to K4 without creating multiple edges. And you can also not expand a vertex because all vertices have degree 3. Right? To expand a vertex, you need a vertex of degree 4 or more. So clearly you can't start just from K4. In fact, you can think about it a bit more, and then you come to the conjecture that maybe you need to start from the wheels, right? So wheels are all graphs where you take a cycle and then put a universal vertex in the middle, which is called the hub of the wheel and often denoted by H. Okay. It's easier to see this in the reverse direction. What does it mean in the reverse direction? That for any simple three connected graph, you can either delete an edge or contract an edge such that the resulting graph is still simple and three connected. So there are two ways of looking at this stuff, right? Let me use a different color. This is the generation viewpoint. And what I have written here is the induction viewpoint. But they are just two sides of the same coin. Okay. So in particular, if you're trying to generate all simple three connected graphs using code, you would like to use the generation viewpoint. However, when proving results, the induction viewpoint is often more useful, or actually, both viewpoints together are more powerful than any one viewpoint by itself. Okay, so the problem with wheels is that if you remove any edge, so either you remove one of the edges on the cycle, and then what you get is you get a three connected graph that is not simple. Supposing, sorry, you can't remove any edge at all, because then you will get a vertex of degree 2. So you have to contract an edge, my bad. If you contract any edge on the cycle, then what will happen is you will get two parallel edges in the resulting graph. If you contract any edge which is not on the cycle, like this one, then you can observe quite easily that the resulting graph is not three connected. You get a two vertex cut. Okay, so you can't contract any edge, you also cannot delete any edge, right? So it turns out that wheels are the only graphs in which this happens, that you can't delete or contract any edge to maintain three connectedness and simpleness. Okay, so these are the only differences between the two results. You have simple graphs, and instead of K4 you have all the wheels. Apart from that, it's the same as before, right? But clearly this one is not implied from the previous result. How do you prove that wheels are the only exceptions? Okay, and so that is what we are going to prove today. And notice that it suffices to prove the following: that in any simple three connected graph, you can find an edge such that you can either delete it or contract it and get another simple three connected graph. Okay, this is the only thing that we need to prove in order to get the above theorem. Is everybody convinced about this? Because we have already proved one direction. Any questions or concerns regarding the statement of either of these theorems? Okay, good. So we are going to prove this, and in particular, we are going to use the result from the previous lecture. Every three connected graph G of order 5 or more has an edge E such that G contract E is also three connected, right? We will use this. Okay, so let's try to prove Tutt's wheel theorem today. Okay, in particular, we need to prove this result. Okay, all right, so let's take a simple three connected graph. So I want you to notice that, we need to construct this graph, the wheel. Our proof somehow needs to construct a wheel, that if a graph does not have the property we want, then it has to be a wheel, right? So I don't think we have seen any such result before, where we construct a specific family of graphs to show that these are the only graphs that don't have a certain property, right? At least nothing so non-trivial. So how do we prove this result? Let's take proof sketch. Let's see. So let's take a simple three connected graph. Okay. And let us suppose that every edge has the property that either you delete it or you contract it, you will not get a simple three connected graph. Assume for each edge of the graph, neither G minus E nor G contract E is simple and three connected. Okay, let us suppose that this is not the case for any edge, right? And our goal now is to show that the graph has to be a wheel. To deduce that G is a wheel. Right? Okay. We know by the previous theorem that there is an edge that you can contract and preserve three connectivity. Right? What's the problem? The problem is the graph may not be simple. Right? That's why we need to work harder. Okay, so let's start with this result, which already gives us some information. We know that there is an edge. Let E denote an edge such that G contract E is three connected. Right? By our assumption, it cannot be simple. Clearly, G contract E is not simple. So what's going on here? We have an edge E. The graph is simple. This graph is simple. We contract this edge. Something like this happens, right? And now we have the graph G contract E, but it is not simple. Why is it not simple? Can anyone tell me? What must be the case for this graph to not be simple?
Both vertices should have a common neighbor.
Exactly. We've got a triangle or a three cycle. Exactly. So what you're saying is that these two vertices, they must have a common neighbor for there to be a parallel edge in the resulting graph like this, right? And when this is the case, you will get parallel edges here, and that is the only case when you will get parallel edges, right? That should be clear. Okay, so since E participates in a triangle, so when I say triangle, I mean three cycle. So I will often use triangle for three cycle, quadrilateral for four cycle. Okay, it participates in a triangle in the graph G. Okay, so that has to be the case, right? All right, so we already know. Let's observe, let's appreciate something. If your graph is triangle free, if it has no three cycles, then the result is already proved, right? Then there is always an edge that you can contract and get a smaller three connected simple graph, because you will not create multiple edges. Okay, so the problem is when your graph is triangles, and notice that a wheel has lots of triangles, right? Okay, so this is the problem. Your edge participates in a triangle. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we are going to still try to find um, an edge in the vicinity of E. So the idea is to find, or to try to find, but we are going to fail for some reason, to try to find an edge in the vicinity of E that has the desired property. Right? What is the desired property? Either you can delete it and maintain simple and three connectedness, or you can contract it and maintain these two properties. Okay, so this is the plan. We are going to see if we can somehow find an edge somewhere close to E that gets the job done. Okay, good. All right, so let's see, how do I want to explain this part? Hmm. Okay, let's see. Let me call this V0. Let me call this V1, and let me call this H. Okay. Um, okay. So let's think about this edge here. Let's think about this edge, HV1. Consider the graph G minus HV1. Okay. Clearly, this graph is simple. In fact, the graph is simple if you remove any edge, because the original graph is simple, right? So the problem is that this graph may not is not three connected, right? If it was three connected, you would have nothing to prove. Clearly, this graph is simple, which implies that it is not three connected. Okay. So let's look at this part here. So why is this graph not three connected? Well, the graph is not complete, or there is a pair of non-adjacent vertices when you remove this edge. So the reason it is not three connected is because it has a one vertex cut or a two vertex cut, right? You can easily rule out one vertex cuts. You can't remove one edge and reduce the connectivity from 3 to 1. That's easy to do. So we are going to directly skip to the point where this graph is, it has a two vertex cut. Okay. So this implies that G minus HV1 has a two vertex cut. I will put a Y in brackets, which basically means that you should think about the one vertex cut on your own. Okay. So let's see. So now I'm looking at the graph G minus HV1. Okay. And here I've got a two vertex cut, and which means I have at least two components. There may be more components. Let's not worry about that. Let me draw two components. Okay, I've deleted one vertex in a three connected graph, and I have gotten two components. Right? Can anyone tell me where must that edge be? The edge I deleted, where should it be in this drawing? HV1. Where should H and V1 be?
Both should be in the cut, otherwise it won't have been one connected.
You mean H should be here and V1 should be here?
Um, yeah, I think so.
Right? The
Yeah.
edge must go between two components. Otherwise, the two vertex cut you see is still going to be a two vertex cut. Right? The graph G does not have a two vertex cut. So the edge you removed has to look like this. Otherwise, these two vertices would be a two vertex cut in the graph G as well. Okay. In fact, at this point, you can also see why there have to be only two components. You can't have three components after removing the edge and the two vertex cut, because the edge has only two ends, and one end must be in each component. So you cannot have three components. Okay. So this must be the situation. But we know something about H and V1. We know that H and V1 have a common neighbor V0. Well, where is that common neighbor? It has to be here. Right? Right? There is only one possibility for these two vertices to have a common neighbor. It belongs to the two vertex cut. Okay, good. All right. Now, I want you to visualize what's going on here in this drawing. Now, I want to look at this edge. Let's see. Right, V0, V1 is the edge we already start. This is the edge E. So we are not looking at any new edge. Let's look at our edge E again, which is the edge we started with, right? We know that E is an edge such that G contract E is 3 connected, right? We know that G contract E is 3 connected. So I want you to visualize this drawing a little bit closely. I want you to observe this closely and think about it. Why is G contract E3 connected? You see a two vertex cut here after removing the edge HV1. When you contract the edge E, try to see what happens in this drawing. I claim that the graph should not be 3 connected unless a very specific condition holds for this component. What can you say about this component of G minus HV1 and minus the two vertex cut? Let's call it S. Okay, so this set of two vertices is S. Okay. So I'm asking you, what can you say about this component given that this graph is 3 connected? Let's try to make a drawing. Let's try to make a quick drawing of what happens in this when I contract the edge E. When I contract the edge E, I get this contraction vertex. Okay. I get this other vertex. H is here. The edge HV0 now goes to the contraction vertex. The edge HV1 also goes to the contraction vertex. I get a parallel edge. As we know, that was a problem with the edge E, that the graph was not simple, right? And what about everything here? Everything here is going to be connected to this vertex or to the, because all the edges go to V1 or to V0 or to S. So now all the edges must go to the contraction vertex or to this other vertex in the set S. Why is this not a two vertex cut? Why is this not a two vertex cut? Oh, I forgot to draw one edge. No, I did not. Give me a second. Am I missing something?
Sir, the other vertex
Yeah.
of the vertex cut can be connected to V1, right?
Sorry,
Or
the
no?
other vertex of the two vertex cut.
Yeah, the other vertex of S can be connected to V1, right? Or am
It
I?
can be connected to V1. That's right.
Yeah, so I think you might want to draw an edge between the contracted uh, edge in the next figure, maybe.
Um, you mean like this?
Oh yeah, I think there's an edge that's missing. There might be, at
There
least.
might be. It is
Yeah.
possible for that edge to be there. That's right. That is a possibility. Yes, I agree. But I am a little confused here because I see a two vertex cut in this graph.
Sir, the only case that can happen is if V1 is an isolated vertex, like there's nothing
Right,
else in that component.
right. So what happens in that case? So if V1 is an isolated vertex, um, right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, that is right. So okay, so I just got confused for no reason. Why is this a not a two vertex cut? Um, it would be a two vertex cut if there were any vertices here.
Yeah.
If there are any vertices here, thanks. If there are any vertices here, then S would be a two vertex cut. Sorry, by S here I mean, let me call this S prime because it has a contraction vertex. Then S prime would be a two vertex cut in the graph G contract E. But we know that G contract E is three connected, right? So which means that there cannot be any vertices here. This should be an empty set. Okay. And what that means is that this set here should be just the vertex V1. Okay. So this should be, there should be no more vertices here. Okay. That's the only reason, that's the only way when you contract the edge E, the graph is three connected. Okay. Otherwise, the graph will necessarily have a two vertex cut contradicting our choice of edge E. Okay. So quite a few things going on here. Okay. Let's do a quick recap. We took an edge that when we contract maintains three connectivity. The problem is it does not maintain simpleness. So that edge participates in a triangle. We label the vertices. The edge is V0, V1, and the common neighbor is H, or one of the common neighbors. There could be more common neighbors. I don't know. Right? One of the common neighbors of V0 and V1 is H. Okay. Now we analyze this situation. So we look at the edge HV1, and the graph is simple. So it must be that the graph is not three connected when you remove the edge HV1. So because of that, you have a two vertex cut in G minus HV1. And that is how we came to this drawing. And we notice that the edge HV1 has two ends in different components. So one component must contain H and one component contains V1. And the edge E goes between them, right? Now H and V1 have a common neighbor. So that common neighbor V0 must belong to the set S, which is our two vertex cut after removing HV1. Okay. Now we go back to the edge E and we see why this two vertex cut in G minus HV1 does not translate into a two vertex cut on contracting the edge E. And the only reason it does not translate into a two vertex cut in that graph is because this component that contains the vertex V1 does not contain anything else. It contains just the vertex V1. Okay, good. So what does that bring us to? That brings us to the following drawing. G minus HV1. So we have a two vertex cut. We have a single component here and we have some big component here. This is the edge we have removed, or now we have not removed it. H is here. V1 is a single vertex component, right? And well, V1 has degree 3. So therefore, we already know it is adjacent to V0, which is a common neighbor of H and V1. But now we also know that V1 should be adjacent to this vertex because it has degree 3. So that's the only way it can have degree 3. It should also be adjacent to the other vertex in the two vertex cut. Okay. So we have constructed the graph so far. Okay. What else? So let me make a different drawing here. We have this edge V0, V1. The edge E is this one, and this is the vertex H. And now V1 has another neighbor. Let's call this V2. You will see why I'm calling it V2. Okay, let's call this V2. Okay. All right. Now, okay. Now I want to think about this edge here. Okay. So I'm trying to give you more intuition. There's a possibility I will not be completing this proof today because I want to spend more time on the intuition here. Okay. And as you can see, I'm also struggling. Okay. So let's see. I want to convince you that V1, V2 could be the edge we want unless something problematic happens there. Okay. Okay. So okay. Okay. So I want to now claim that I can contract this edge. Instead of V0, V1, I'm going to choose V1, V2. And I want to claim that G contract V1, V2 is 3 connected. Let's see. G contract V1, V2 is 3 connected. Also, let me make one more observation. Vertex V1 is a cubic vertex. In other words, it has degree 3. Okay. Whenever I identify a vertex that is cubic, degree 3, I will mark it black. I'm also using that for contraction vertices. Sorry for the... But anyways, you get the point. Here what I mean is this has no more neighbors. Right? All its neighbors have been identified. So now let's look at G contract V1, V2. I claim that this is 3 connected. Well, supposing this is not 3 connected, then what must happen? Then go back to the last lecture. When an edge cannot be contracted to maintain 3 connectivity, it means that the ends of this edge participate in a 3 vertex cut with some other vertex. Okay, this was lemma 9.11. Okay, so suppose not. Then G has a 3 vertex cut containing the 2 ends of this edge, containing V1 and V2. Okay, so let's make a drawing of this. So V1, V2, they belong to a 3 vertex cut with some other vertex. Okay, good. Okay, now I think I know what I have to do. Okay. All right. So there is a 3 vertex cut in the graph G, which contains these 2 vertices. Okay, good. Notice that in a 3 connected graph, if you have a 3 vertex cut, then each vertex of this set, let's call this T, each vertex of this set T, which is a 3 vertex cut, has to have a neighbor in every component after deleting these vertices. Supposing there is some component here, and let's say one of these 3 vertices does not have any neighbor in this component. Let's say there is no neighbor of V1 in this component. What that means is that all neighbors of this component are in V2 and this other vertex. That would be a 2 vertex cut in the graph. Okay, so That is not possible. Our graph is 3 connected. So that means that all of these vertices, v1, v2, and whoever this guy is, they have a neighbor in all components after deleting the set T. Okay. What does that mean? That means that v1 in particular, who are the neighbors of v1? H, v0, and v2. v2 is already here. So H must be in one component and v0 must be in another component. Okay, because we know that this is a cubic vertex. We have already identified all its neighbors. Okay, now I claim that there is a contradiction. This situation cannot happen in the graph G. You cannot have a 3 vertex cut containing v1, v2, and some other vertex. Does anybody see why there is a contradiction here? Look at the graph we have already drawn. I claim that there is some problem in this drawing. Compare these two drawings and see if you see some problem. Try to draw all the edges. Okay. All right, I'll tell you what the problem is. There is an edge between these two components, H and V0. So this can't be a 3 vertex cut, because if it was a 3 vertex cut, then all the edges from the components should go into the 3 vertex cut. You can't have an edge between two components because then they would defy the definition of components, right? So this edge cannot exist if these 3 vertices form a 3 vertex cut, right? And so what that means, okay, so the edge HV0 connects two distinct components in G minus T, where T is your 3 vertex cut. Okay, let's call this 3 vertex cut T. Okay, and this is a contradiction because, well, you can't connect two components by an edge, then they would not be components. Okay, so now what we have identified is we have identified another edge, V1, V2, which also maintains the 3 connectedness, right? We started with the edge E. We are trying to find another edge around E, which will do the job. Okay, and we found one edge which maintains 3 connectedness on contraction. What is the problem? Well, when you contract that edge, maybe the graph is not simple again, just like the edge E. Maybe we have the same issue. Okay, so how is it possible that when you contract the edge V1, V2, the resulting graph is not simple? Well, that means that V1 and V2 have a common neighbor, right? So V1 and V2 must have a common neighbor. All right, well, how is it possible for V1 and V2 to have a common neighbor? So let's write down a bit. So we have already proved that V1, V2 can be contracted. This means that G contract V1, V2 is not simple, because otherwise we would have finished the proof, right? So that means that V1 and V2, or the edge, let me write it this way, the edge V1, V2 participates in a triangle. Okay, let me just write triangle because I use this for maximum degree. Okay, so that means that V1 and V2 have a common neighbor, right? What is one possibility. One possibility is for that common neighbor to be the vertex H. Notice that there are not too many possibilities because V1's neighbors have already been identified. They are V0, H, and V2. So either V2 is adjacent with H, and now you can see how we are constructing a wheel, right? We are trying to build this kind of a partial wheel. If you add one edge here, you would actually have a wheel. Okay, but we haven't gotten there yet. So either V2 is adjacent with H, or another possibility that could happen is that V2 is adjacent to V0. That's a possibility I don't like very much. Okay. Okay, so one possibility is either V2H is an edge of the graph, or V2V0 is an edge of the graph. Okay? I'm not trying to finish the proof today. I have already given up on that. Okay? I am just trying to get the intuition across. Tomorrow we will see the complete proof. Okay? So let's look at these two possibilities. Let's draw them. V0, V1, V2. We have the vertex H, and we have all of these edges, right? This is our edge E, and this is our new edge V1, V2. Okay, that's one possibility. Both of these edges, E and let me call V1, V2, let me call it E prime. Okay, let me give this a name. V1 E prime is equal to V1, V2. Okay. In this case, notice that, and we have this vertex, which is a cubic vertex. Notice that E and E prime are both contractible. What do I mean by contractible? Contracting preserves three connectedness, right? But it does not preserve simpleness, right? Okay, good. So what happened in this case is we went from a triangle to two triangles stuck together. Okay. So in some sense, our plan is to repeat this process. Now I am going to repeat the same arguments that I already did with the edge E prime. Rather than with E, I'm going to work with the edge E prime because now this is another edge which preserves the three connectedness. The problem is, just like the edge E, it does not preserve the simpleness. Okay? So why is this happening? And that's the main idea behind this proof. We are going to keep identifying edges like these. The problem is the graph is finite. At some point, you're going to stop identifying more problematic edges and you're going to find your desired edge. Or you're going to conclude that your graph is a wheel. Because in some sense, when you complete this graph, you will get a wheel. This is like a partial wheel. Okay? And let's make the other drawing. Let's make the other drawing when V2 and V0 are adjacent. So how do I draw this one? When V2 and V0 are adjacent. So there are two drawings I want to make. H, V0, V1. Let me put V1 here, V1. And let me put V2 here. This is the edge E. This is the edge E prime. And now V0 and V2 are adjacent. Okay. So I would like to redraw this one in the following manner. Let me make V0 here. And V0's neighbors are H, V1, and V2. Yeah, H, V1, and V2. Okay. Good. I like this. Where is E? E is V0, V1. This is E, and this is E prime. Okay, good. Okay, so in this case, I want to redraw the graph in the following manner. Note that I see a similar configuration. I see a very similar configuration. I just had to redraw the graph to think about it from a different point of view. Rather than thinking of H as the center, I'm now thinking of V0 as the center. Okay, whatever that means. The things that are worth noting, the similarities between the two drawings, are that the vertex V1 is still a degree 3 vertex, and E prime is still in the same place. And E prime has the property that when I contract it, the graph is 3 connected. Okay? All right. So here is what we are going to do tomorrow. We are going to continue from this point tomorrow. I'm going to define what is called a partial K wheel. Okay, so what is a partial K wheel? It is the configuration that we have built so far, but we don't want to keep building. We want to use some sophistication, right, to skip so many steps. So let's define the following. A partial K wheel is a path P, V0, E1, V1, E2, up to Vk minus 1, Ek, and Vk. So it is a path with K edges. Okay? And a vertex, let's call it the hub, H, which is not on the path. So in these drawings, just to give you an idea, what we are making here is a partial two wheel. This will be a partial two wheel. And this will also be a partial two wheel. Okay? So I want a path and a vertex that is not on this path. And I want the following properties. I want the hub vertex to be adjacent with every vertex on the path. HVI is an edge of the graph for all I. I want the vertices on the path to be cubic vertices except the ends. So I want all the internal vertices to be cubic in the graph G. Okay? And I want one more property, which is true in both of these drawings. I want the last edge on this path to be a contractible edge. Okay? I don't care about the other edges. The following weaker property will suffice. I just want the last edge on the path to have the property that it can be contracted to maintain 3 connectivity. G contract EK is 3 connected. But clearly it will not be simple because we have assumed that no edge can be contracted to maintain 3 connectivity and simpleness both, right? So we are going to define, we have already defined a partial K wheel. And what we will do in this proof is we will choose a partial K wheel that is as big as possible. To give you a slight glimpse, notice that we started here with a partial one wheel. This is a partial one wheel. And then we continued making some arguments in order to make a partial two wheel out of it. In both situations, we got a partial two wheel. Now we will try to construct a partial three wheel and so on. Instead, let's just take a partial K wheel that is as big as possible. By big, I mean number of vertices. Okay, so it has as many vertices as possible. Okay, and that means that whenever you get a bigger partial k plus 1 wheel, you will have a contradiction, right? And that is the way our proof will proceed. And when you cannot build it any further, the problem is that your graph is actually a complete wheel. So you can complete that partial wheel into a full wheel, and that will be your whole graph. And that is what we want to prove. We want to prove that our graph is a wheel. Okay. So, anyways, there was a lot of information here. I want you all to go over it again and see what we did. Because if I just present the proof directly, it can seem very cryptic. So I'm trying to decode it as much as I can for you. Okay. So are there any questions now? Okay. So this is the plan. And the one what we have already proved today is that G has a partial one wheel. Already here, we had proved the existence of a partial one wheel. Right. So we have already proved today that the graph has a partial one wheel. Tomorrow we are going to choose a partial k wheel where k is as big as possible. And then we will argue that if you're not able to find a desirable edge, then it is because the entire graph is a wheel. And that will be the proof of Tutt's wheel theorem. Okay, let me stop recording now, but I'm still here for another 5 minutes or so if there are any questions.